Okay, grade 5 in 5 minutes, AQA English Language Paper 1. Hopefully you've downloaded the resources. You can do that now. You can go to mrcrawfordenglish.co.uk or you can follow the link below. The best way to use this video is to follow the resources as we go so that you can annotate the papers and look at what you're doing in front of you on paper as well as on the screen. So make sure you download the resources and we'll get started. So the purpose of this video then is to, in order to get a grade 5, we need to instill some confidence. We need to make ourselves feel more comfortable with the exam, and hopefully by the end of this we'll come up with some strategies to reduce the stress and the panic that comes with starting an exam. We'll also look at how we might read the extract in a purposeful way to avoid having to reread the extract 4, 5, 6 times in order to answer the question. Hopefully, there's the dog, hi Archie. Hopefully we'll be able to just read the extract once or twice, but in a purposeful way. So, the first thing we're going to do is have a sneaky peek at the questions to come. You don't have to go straight into the extract. The worst thing we can do is read the extract blindly, not really take anything in, and then have to reread it over and over again as we get to each question. So my advice is to take a sneak peek at the questions to come so that you can arm yourself with the best possible evidence and ideas before you hit that question. It'll also mean that when you get to that question, there's less panic because you've already seen the question, you already know what is coming your way. The second thing you need to do when you get to the extract, after you've read the questions, it's important to read the extract with a pen or a highlighter in your hand so that you can highlight things and label them as you go, so that when you get to the question you can look back at the extract and find what you've already located to help you answer it. So save yourself some time, read the extract purposefully. Question 2 we're not going to pay attention to on this video, we'll look at that separately because question 2 will give us a mini extract on the exam paper. We'll have a look at how we might tackle that question separately. But question 3 and question 4, it's important that we annotate the question itself. You can see there that I've highlighted some of the words and phrases within the question to focus my attention on what I'm writing about. It hopefully will allow us to show the examiner that we've got a clear understanding of what we are doing and how the writer is structured or used language within the extract. The word clear is a really important word in the mark scheme for achieving a grade 5 response. So I've highlighted there whole of the source because for question 3 I can use evidence from anywhere in the text itself. I don't have to stick to a certain number of lines. I've also highlighted the question, how does the writer structure the text to interest you as a reader? A lot of us dread this question because we don't really understand how to tackle it. Really straightforward. You can see there that I've replaced the word could with the word should. There's no harm in doing that yourself on the exam paper, and in fact I would do that now if you've got it in front of you. Make the highlights that I've highlighted as an example, and then you can have a go at the other papers, the separate ones, yourselves when you get 5 minutes spare. First bullet point is to write about what the writer has focused your attention on at the beginning. Second bullet point, how has the writer changed the focus? It means, having read this question and annotated it, we now understand it, so when we read the extract for the first time, we can look out for those things on our first reading. Question 4 is very similar. Again, you can see that I've highlighted some of the words and phrases in the question, and again, I recommend you do that now as you go along. This time, I've highlighted from line 16 to the end. Question 4 only wants us to talk about that section of the text. It would be futile for us to talk about any other part of the source in this question. It's also the question where we have to agree or disagree, and we have to agree or disagree with the statement that we're given. In this case, it's that this part of the text shows the contrast between the way that Harry and Dudley are presented in Harry Potter. So it means that when we read the extract for the first time, now that we know what that question's going to be, we're going to take the fear and the anxiety away from it. We're not going to panic when we get to question 4, because when we get to it, we can literally look back at our copy of the text and we'll see that actually on our first or second reading, we've highlighted some examples, some evidence that would help us to answer that question. Maybe highlighted some of the ways Harry's presented, highlighted some of the ways Dudley's presented, so that when we get to question 4, the idea of agreeing or disagreeing is much more straightforward. We don't need to stress because we've looked at the questions ahead of time, we've had that sneak peek, and we've managed to find some evidence that we could use in that question. Again, I've changed the word could for the word should so that we follow those bullet points and develop a clear understanding for the examiner. So, grade 5 in 5 minutes, my best tip for you is to have that sneak peek at the start of the exam. It's going to help you to calm down, it's going to help you to feel much more confident and in control because we are eliminating the sense of surprise. We know what the questions are going to be. So, my advice now, hopefully you've annotated the questions as we've gone along for the Harry Potter paper. You can have a go at answering those questions. You can also use the other exam paper paper that I've provided in order to practice annotating those questions. Have the sneak peek, then go to the extract, read it through, but look out for the things that you've identified in the questions that are still to come. Don't forget the resources are there. You can download them from the link below or go to mrcrawfordenglish.co.uk. Laters.